Alright, so we're starting from a cold start here, and I'm going to spin up the aircraft power systems. I'm going to be using GSX today, just kind of show that off, to see what that's like. So I'm going to connect that first, so the battery power is coming from there. Sorry, so the battery power is coming from there. Alright, so charger is active. So that means I'm going to turn the APU on, which will eventually give us enough power to see all of our displays, the MFD and the SFD to come up. So we'll wait for APU to start up and for the screens to light up. Alright, so that's the APU coming online, which is good. So what I'll do now is I'll first do some refueling. You can see that happen. And probably do some catering just to show that off as well. I've had some weird issues with the fuel trucks get into a weird state if you do too many things at once, like calling out baggage trucks and that. So I usually do the fuel trucks and stuff first, and then I do all the boarding procedures after that. That way everything is nice and fresh. I'm going to be flying with no ATC, no control today, just going to show off the systems of the 7879 Dreamliner. This model's pretty cool, actually. It's definitely become like my favorite one to fly, for a few reasons, but mostly because I can get lazy and just, rip on the vape pen and let it fly itself for the most part. Fuel truck's coming somewhere, I can hear it. Oh, there it is. Turn some of the outside lights on just for nighttime viewing. Fuel truck's gonna park it on my wing and should fill me up. Ask me how much I want. Probably do like 50% or something. I said 50%, you know, I probably don't even need 50. I can probably just do 30 in all my tanks, and that should be enough for this flight. So it's the fuel. And we'll configure our payload. You see the fuel trucks actually now come up a little bit to fuel. And fuels are pretty quick. It's not a long process. They try not to make it take forever, so you can do this stuff and not sit here for 10 minutes while your tanks fill up. 20 minutes, whatever it is. So now I'll do the catering. So that'll bring 2 catering trucks in. They'll load a few items and then we'll get the hell out of our hair. And then I'll do the cargo and the passenger boarding load. So one of the features of this aircraft is external power, so I'm actually going to put those on the ground in front of me and turn on power from those. That way I can save fuel in my auxiliary power unit. One of the cool things in this control panel is I can turn the lights on in the cabin. That's how you do that for flying. But you can even get your like Virgin America on, or you know, basically turn it into the party plane. You can even dim it for evening flight like this. So I'll probably dim it down short of takeoff and all that good stuff. But interesting, small little detail on this plane. Then you'll hear the GSX system begin beeping at me, telling me to open doors while it, so they can load in the stuff. So yeah, the R2 door and the R4 door are going to be open now. Pop those doors. And I think there might actually be the ability to do that in here, actually. Let me take a look real quick. Yeah, so I actually can also control it from the system tab here. If I switch to my non-engineering display, I can change the right-hand side here to the system display. And so I can actually control the doors from here, too. That's pretty cool. One thing that's different, I apparently can't control the cargo lights. Which was actually fine by me, but just interesting. So you can see them bringing these containers on and off these trucks. Alright, the fact it's beeping at me is telling me that they're done now. And so now we're going to request boarding. I probably should have waited about 10 seconds for these trucks to back up, because I'm sure they'll run into each other because they're not too smart, but actually I'm impressed. So I'm impressed they waited. So now the cargo trucks are moving in, the passengers are starting to board. And so it's going to start asking me to open doors and stuff now. So L1, that's the passenger door. So with that one we can't really see anything because of the jetway. But I'm sure it'll cause the game to lag a little bit as passengers start to board. Yep, there it is. And now I'm going to open the cargo doors. Doors are opening. And so now I'll go into the cockpit, but FSX is GSX is really annoying in the audio you hear when passengers start to board. So you're likely going to hear me try not to hear that as it's going on. So I guess I'll start programming my computer now that I have some time. So I'm gonna set my position initialization, which is gonna be LAX. The gate doesn't actually work. Repeat the same thing. LAX is going to be our origin. SFO is our destination. I'm going to set my flight number to Hotel Kilo Mike November. My co-pilot wants me to do my pre-flight. This boarding causes the game to lag a bit.
Morning. Receive boarding passes, please. Thank you. Welcome aboard. Good morning. Thank you. Welcome aboard. And have a beautiful flight. Hi there.
So let's turn all the lights on.
Hello. Thank you.
And have a beautiful flight.
I'm right next to her. Thank you.
Hello.
I'm going to be leaving on runway 25 left.
Welcome aboard. How are you? And have a beautiful flight.
Part of the flight plan that I put together.
Thank you. Morning.
And now I'm going to select my departures and my arrivals.
Welcome aboard. Hi there.
Hi.
Welcome aboard.
And do it out here so you don't have to hear all that crap on the inside. So departures and arrivals, we're going to leave on 25 left, which had already selected that for us because I set that. And in the flight plan I put together, you know, actually maybe I should, I'll show how to do the flight plan separately. But in the flight plan I put together, we're going to leave via the Summer 1 SID, and we're going to transition via Stoked, because most of us are stoked for summer. And we're going to arrive in San Francisco on runway 19 left. The weather for this evening is kind of dictating that for us based on the wind. And I'm going to do a shake transition, which is actually going to be the default if I select Berks. And I also am going to use a star for this one, Mobas 1, and that has no transition. We're just going to follow that all the way to the end. So now that I have the arrival set, we're going to go back to the route. We're going to activate the route, and then we're going to do our performance initialization. So we're going to cruise at, you said what, 30,000 feet, so flight level 300. The cost index, we're going to put that at max 999. We're not trying to save any money or fuel here. We're going full throttle. And just reserve a little bit of fuel, not much. We should be good. And it's not requesting any inputs from us here. It does want the flaps and the CG trim. We're going to hold off on that for now. That'll get calculated in just a moment. So we'll exec the computer and tell it to calculate the route.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard this flight. May we remind you that all seat backs and tray tables need to be in the upright position. All carry-on items brought on board must be securely stowed either under the seat in front of you or in an overhead bin. Prior to pushback from the gate, please ensure that your seatbelt is securely fastened. Personal cellular telephones may be used while parked at the gate with the main cabin door open. We will advise you when they must be turned on. For customers seated in a row of seats identified by the words, "No children this row," please review the white safety card in the seat pocket in front of you. The use of some portable electronic devices is prohibited while on board the aircraft. Once airborne, you will be advised when the use of approved devices such as personal computers and compact disc players is permitted. A complete list of approved devices may be found in the magazine.
Alright, now that we've gotten past that announcement, you're going to see the boarding happening here. I stopped programming the computer just for a moment so you can kind of see this process happen. Now one thing you'll notice over here, there is a stair truck here, and if you're at a location like a ramp or something without a jetway, the passengers will come up in buses and actually you'll see them walk onto the plane via 2 stairs. So just a small little thing that does happen in places that do not have jetways or where the ramps, or the gates themselves rather, aren't large enough for your plane. And there is actually a guy sitting right here. You can kind of see him. It seems like most of our passengers have loaded at this point. You can tell because the talking in the background has stopped. So now that we've hit that position, we can finish programming our flight computer. And so I'm going to bring up the FMC CDU, or the FMS CDU. You can see I'm on the takeoff ref page, which still has CG trim needing to be filled in. So what I'm going to do is come over to the electronic flight bag over here, and I'm going to select performance. Let me lock my camera so it's easier. And I'm going to copy the FMC data. The thrust rating is going to be takeoff, and the flops are going to be flops. The flaps are going to be optimum. It's not raining here in LAX, so it's dry, and we're going to calculate takeoff. Once this is calculated, we can send the output to the FMC itself. You'll hear a little chime, and this accept button appears on the display. When I press accept here, these values that are now filled in are going to get accepted. And they're ready to go. So the final thing we're going to do is make sure that our legs here make sense, that there's no route discontinuities, like this one here, for example. Discontinuities are easy to fix, so we're just going to grab Burks, move it up. There we go. So we move Burks up, and we're going to exec it to finish it off. Now, the one thing I'll say here is this 640 nav location is only 1 nautical mile out from our takeoff. It's very likely we'll end up overshooting this waypoint before navigation is enabled. And if we do that, then the system's not really going to know what's going on and not resume navigation on the waypoints. And so we're going to have to actually delete this one just to make the takeoff a little easier here. So we're going to grab this, Press delete. Click on it, and that's now deleted. And now we can press exec here to save it. So now that's set. 2 nautical miles, still a little close, but I'm hoping we should be able to get our wheels off the ground and get autopilot and control in that amount of time. Now that this is programmed, we can go back to the main menu, click on terminal charts. We're going to use the airports from the FMS, and click complete. We now have the SIDs, which are the standard instrument departures from Los Angeles. We also have the STARS, the standard terminal arrival route for San Francisco. In addition to the actual departure routes from the airport, we also have a terminal map, if I can remember how to bring it up. Well, I thought there was one, but maybe I'm out of my mind here. Gotta close the door, I'll do that in 1 second. You know, I'm pretty sure there was actually a, well, maybe I should do more homework next time. Anywho, let's close the door once closed. L1. I guess that doesn't work.
Before start checklist.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just closed the main cabin door. All personal cellular telephones must be turned off and stowed for the duration of the flight. Flight attendants, prepare doors for departure, cross-check, and verify straps.
Alright, it'll be a left seat takeoff. Taxi route is per ATC instructions. Standard reject procedures. Will depart via the SID, climb to initial altitude. In the event of an emergency return, we'll coordinate with ATC. You'll fly the airplane out on the checklist and coordinate with the air traffic control company and the flight attendants. Any questions?
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you aboard this flight on the Dreamliner. At this time, I'd like to direct your attention to the flight attendants while we review safety information about the 787. Your seatbelt should be fastened at this time. It is our policy that you keep your seatbelt fastened at all times while seated. The 8 exits on the 787 are marked with exit signs. Please locate the 2 exits nearest you, keeping in mind the nearest exits may be behind you. This aircraft has escape path lighting, a change in color, or an exit
Gonna
sign
set my altitude.
You have reached an exit. Should oxygen be needed, mask will appear from the compartment above your seat. If you're traveling with someone needing assistance, put on your mask first and then offer assistance. Your life vest is located in a container beneath or in some cases between your seat. If needed, inflate the vest just prior
Set
to
the
exiting
below
the aircraft
10,000
and
cruising
vest
speed.
and fun vest. A safety information card with more detailed instructions regarding
Arm the auto
seatbelts
throttle.
is in your pocket. This is a non-smoking flight.
Turn on the
Smoking is
flight
not allowed
director
in
for
all
navigation.
lavatories. All lavatories are equipped with smoke detection systems, and federal law prohibits tampering with, disabling, or destroying these systems. As we get ready for takeoff, please help us prepare the cabin by making sure all carry-on baggage is stowed, all seat backs and tray tables are upright, headrests are lowered, and footrests and video monitors are stowed.
All right,
Customers are required
let's
to
get out of
view all
here.
posted and lighted information signs and adhere to crew members' instructions. Thank you for choosing to fly with us. We will be airborne shortly.
Forgot I need to start my APU before I can do this. I do ground power for now, but I'll give it 30 seconds to start up.
Hello, Captain. We're ready for pushback.
Ready to go here. Navigation's all set. APU sounds like it's almost fully started up.
Locking gear.
I believe the APU is probably good to go. Before it powers off. Well, I was apparently wrong.
Departure check completed. Bypass pin inserted. Release parking brakes.
Close enough. Almost had it.
Release parking brakes. Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Let's warm this bad boy up.
Okay, starting engines.
Engines should auto start.
Before taxi checklist.
Alright, taxi's ready to go. Almost, actually. One thing I should notice is I have a little warning over here. TCAS is off. I can turn that on by fixing the transponder here. And then I'm going to tune us to ATIS for Los Angeles.
Set parking brakes.
I'm going to shut down the APU now the engines are on.
Unlocking gear. Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
I'm not sure
Left is clear.
why I have this
Right is clear.
view selector up. Oh, my mouse cursor is just bugged. Alright, whatever. Ah, somehow I had mouse yoke turned on. That explains all my problems. Alright, so now ADIS looks good. The runway I'm taking off on is still correct. Perfect. So now we're going to roll and we're going to taxi towards that runway. Sorry, I just having some equipment troubles here. All fixed now. Sima taxi via Bravo. And then hold short runway 28 left. Gonna use taxiway. What taxiway is that? Looks like Bravo to Foxtrot to then hold short.
departure.
Approaching 25 right.
So I'm going to arm my speed brake. Kind of set my flaps to 5. And then I'm going to bring my trim back a little bit just for a nice little takeoff trim setting. Alright, Hotel Kilo Mike November, ready to roll, runway 25 left.
Before takeoff checklist.
On runway 25 left.
Knots.
Checked.
B1.
Rotate. B2. Positive rate.
Gear up. Autopilot on.
Autopilot in command.
Flaps 1.
So I have the terrain view on now. I'm going to switch it so I can see my descent and ascent profiles.
Flaps up.
With
Flaps
our
up.
flight underway, I'd like to once again welcome you aboard. I'd also like to offer a special welcome to our Quality Club flyers. You will be earning valuable miles on your flight today. If you're not a member, please visit us at qwingsim.com. In just a few minutes, we will be beginning our complimentary meal and beverage service for both first class and coach. In coach, beer, wine, and margaritas can be purchased with a debit or credit card. We apologize as we do not accept cash. In-flight entertainment available on this aircraft
After takeoff checklist.
video on demand as well as Wi-Fi, all included free of charge. The flight attendant will be coming through the aisles with complimentary headsets. Now we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight.
over 10,000, so we're throttling up to cruising speed of 350. So this was actually, the current game time is about, it's about 18 hours ago from when I'm recording it. There was some nice storms in the San Francisco area, so it's going to bring us down in some cloud cover for a fly that's approaching to runway 19 left of San Francisco. Now realizing I probably need to talk a little louder to hear me over the plane, but yeah, we'll be coming into San Francisco. It should be rainy and kind of gloomy, hopefully still. And I don't really have an ETA, unfortunately, hopefully like 40 minutes or so. And we're currently holding at about 12,000 feet. There's an altitude hold at this waypoint. Once we get past this dark waypoint, we should continue climbing up through summer. You can kind of see that here, 1200 Bravo, holding us at the altitude. On the left, you can see our speed is nearing 350, with the right 12,000 feet. Now that we've basically hit the waypoint, we're continuing to climb again. And you can see that our display here has the top of climb shown. And right here we hit the point about 70 nautical miles. And if I show you here, you can see as well top of climb right here on the display. So it gives you kind of an idea of where you're going to be at in your route when you hit those different waypoints. Guess we should dim the lights in the cabin to let them relax a little bit. So you can kind of see what it looks like. You can kind of see how it renders this little line here to show you where your display is, or where your kind of nose is heading based on your turn. There's my other display there showing you the same kind of, same sort of thing. Just zoomed out a little more. You can also turn on reporting for air traffic. There's also weather radar if I want to see the precipitation on the way. So out along our right side here is actually Ventura, California. Just you can't really see where we came from behind us anymore. I'm sorry, in the cockpit view. show you the opposite side, sitting in the cockpit. So over here, I give the flaps lever, touchpad, another CD control for the FMS. Transponder configuration, and the cabin interphone is in the middle there. Can't say that I've ever had that be used, but it's there. Jump back into the left seat. So looking ahead, we should probably now think about tuning into San Francisco ATIS, since that will give us the weather in San Francisco we need in there. Frequency 118.50. Alright, tuned into San Francisco ATIS frequency, so now we'll pick that up eventually. So down here in front of Santa Barbara, kind of coming across, going to do a little cut in over the land here, but we're mostly going to stay along the coast all the way up and then go around the northern side of San Francisco. So yeah, that'll be a nice little flight today. And it looks like we got our true airspeed all the way up at 502 with a ground speed of 482 as we're humming along, nearing 28,000 feet. So that alarm is us nearing our altitude hole. Yeah, so we're just going to cruise here for a while, continuing to follow the waypoints until our top of descent all the way down there. Still continuing to cruise here. We have about 29 nautical miles to our next waypoint. We're still about 30 minutes away from coming into San Francisco, give or take. Take a look around the clouds and stuff going on in the city and share a little bit. I guess some place called Santa Maria down there to our left. I guess that means Vandenberg Air Force Base is somewhere back that way under the cloud cover. I just set up some external views of the aircraft for when we come in later on. We have one from the right outside of the aircraft and one looking down at the landing gear from the back left. Cloud cover starting to pick up as we get closer to San Francisco because there was some nasty weather up there this time. See our time trails looking behind us how the cloud cover changes. One of the cool details is if you look out into the sky, you can actually see the Milky Way kind of on the horizon there. A little small thing, I guess. Alright, well, now that we've got some time here, we're going to prep ourselves for landing. So to do that, we're going to go back into the performance thing here and calibrate our parameters for landing itself. So we're going to hide the keyboard, and I'm going to show landing. I'm going to copy the FMC data so we get the airport, the runway, and the flap settings. I'm going to set category to 3, AI to off, rev to no credit, spoilers are auto, and the auto brakes are auto brake 2. And here it's actually using the live weather that we've injected into the game to set the wind and stuff. And then we also want to set that it's going to be wet. It's going to be raining there in San Francisco. And so we're going to calculate it for a wet runway. Like earlier, we send the output to the FMC so we can activate it. Alright, it's accepted, and now that's all set to go for our descent to the airport. And now looking here, we actually have a waypoint that is a little misconfigured. You can tell because there's data flowing off the end here. The reason I noticed it is because I could tell that at 20,000 feet here, we don't seem to be descending at all. It has an arrow here at this point saying we should be here. So what I'm going to have to do is reprogram this one. So it's going to be 350 speed / and flight level 15,000. So I think they want flight level 150. And then we're going to insect that. And it doesn't make sense to have that at 350 compared to the rest, so we'll bring that down to 310 now too. Perfect. And so now it's also saying the MCP altitude is set to cruise altitude, set lower altitude to enable VNAV descent. And so this box up here, this control panel is the MCP, and it's complaining that our altitude's set at 30,000 when you can see these waypoints have us coming down to basically 2,800 here, it looks like. So we'll bring this down to 2,800. And I'm going to toggle VNAV on and off because we did change the altitude settings here. Now if this doesn't take effect automatically, that warning's gone away, so in theory it should. But if it doesn't take effect automatically, we will use the flight level change setting here to bring us down to the right altitude. I guess I could have disarmed the bringing the display all the way in, just to make sure we actually descend as we expect. And we've crossed the top of descent, so here we go. Now for the landing, I'm going to bring down the heads-up display, because as you're coming in on ice approaches, it actually overlays where that approach is on the viewpoint here, or on the display rather, so we'll just keep an eye on that here. And as you can see, our speed is climbing, and we are descending, so I'm going to enable the air brake. By the speed bouncing around, you can see that we're hitting a little bit of turbulence here. The altitude's jumping a bit too as we hit it. Zoom the display back out just to more viewpoint, more visibility. I guess I'll start to turn some lights on since we're coming in for an approach here. Lights should all be on. Can turn up the cabin lights a little bit. So earlier you saw me do some manual control takeover for the aircraft. I didn't kind of mention it, but noticed that it wasn't kind of slowing down as I wanted. The throttles were still up pretty high. So I've since turned back on the auto throttle and have the speed here set. I'm about to turn it back off from correction mode here and see if it maintains itself. seems to be doing okay.
Descent checklist.
Our brakes are now set. Basically done with the descent checklist. You can't really see because of the cloud cover, but we're effectively crossing over Monterey Bay at this time. I guess if you you take a look at the terrain map here, you can kind of see it from here that this is Monterey Bay. Which does mean, yes, that this is actually the San Francisco Bay right here, jutting up. Although it does, I think some of this is also just the Central Valley, because you can see San Jose International's right here. So you're probably seeing the bay here and the valley down through here. Useless Bay area trivia. because I forgot to turn auto throttle back on, so we're coasting down idle power. So I'm going to get us back up to 310, the auto throttle here. As you can see up top, the ATIS information has started to come in from San Francisco. And as expected, 19 left is an active runway. So our approach is still valid. We'll come in on the active runway. The ideal goal here is to have a almost complete hands-off landing here, minus the final few seconds of the time on the runway. But for the most part, this thing is going to fly itself in. Now, I still need to read the manual, but as far as I can tell, this display with the two circles and the wings coming off of it, I believe that's showing you kind of where you want to be going. So whether that's your complete next waypoint or the ILS beacon that you're coming in on for a runway. I don't really know. I'm kind of guessing based on what I've seen it do. Make a right-hand turn here to this next waypoint. We'll see if our nose goes in line with that beacon. I'm kind of hint that that's actually right.
Approach checklist.
Alright, that thing changed in a way I've never really noticed before. So, something about us turning is definitely what it's used for. But, yeah. So one other cool thing this plane has that I'll show you while we're at it. We're dropping some frames for some reason, but it has kind of like a little nav map kind of view on it where you can see the approach you're coming in on. It gives you the altitude for the waypoint's name. So you can bring that up while you're flying just to kind of get a good idea of, you know, when you're getting close to finally touching down at that airport. So I'll keep it like that for now. Now you'll see that I actually have an FMC message warning up here, which is telling me that it can't maintain the speed. Oh, it's gone now because it got within the range of the speed. Anyway, a message will pop up down here telling you that it's unable to maintain the speed and that drag is required, which would require you to extend your speed brake here. This aircraft's pretty slick actually, so when it comes down from on descent, it doesn't actually lose much speed coming down with idle throttle. It can cover the air pretty good. So quite often you do need to extend the spoilers on shorter approaches to you know, keep your speed down. Even then the spoilers are tiny and don't really do much, so yeah. And now that we're below 260, I'm going to put flaps 1 down. Return on the dome lights real quick. You'll see that there is a flap limit chart here to cheat off of. So flap 1 is 260, which you can see we're well below. And technically we could probably go to flaps 5, but just in case any turbulence and we catch the speed, we'll keep it at flaps 1 for now. Starting to descend through the clouds here. I'll push that up for now. So in 3 waypoints we'll be hitting a lower speed of 190. When we get towards Berks, I'll start the procedure of bringing the flaps down further until we'll have full flaps for the landing. kind of hard to see it, but it is actually raining here. We did hit some rain. Let's see if I can see it on the weather radar. And there's some of it right there you can kind of see. Yeah, fucking terrifying. So the ceiling is 4,000 feet according to ATIS, which means at about 2,300 we should be breaking out of the cloud cover. You see on the weather radar precipitation right in front of us here as we turn right over San Francisco itself. Hopefully we can catch a... oh, there it is. So we actually managed to break out of the cloud cover earlier than I thought. Just in time to get a view of the Golden Gate Bridge. Looks terrible in this game. Also, like, kind of bigger than it should. Like, the bridge is bigger than the mountain behind it, which, having been on the mountain, is not right. Alright, snap some screenshots as we now come over towards Oakland to begin our final approach for runway 19 left. We'll be getting a right-hand turn just a little bit here. You can kind of see it on the display right below me here. And it's very likely the plane will actually come in on its own a little bit sooner than the Burke's waypoint just to get a better turn. I'm going to bring our flaps down quite a bit here if we have speed to spare.
Ladies and gentlemen, in preparation for landing, please return all seat backs and tray tables to their upright and stowed position. Ensure all portable electronic devices are turned off.
Take us all the way to flaps 18. Actually, no.
Additionally,
Oh yeah, flaps 18 should be
video
fine.
monitors must be returned to their original position. Thank you.
As expected, the plane was a little more intelligent, knew to turn sooner. So it's going to begin the turn now, and we're in some shit now on the radar. So there's the message I mentioned again about the needing flaps. Now that we're turning onto that final approach, we're going to be bringing our gear down. You'll be seeing that at the top left here.
Flight attendants, please be seated for arrival.
Now we're going to put us on to the localizer-based approach. And approach hold is going to be turned on. So the plane is now has now intercepted localizer and is descending on its own, following that radio beacon in towards the runway. With the gear fully extended, I'm now in a position to go full flaps if I wanted to, but I will extend them a little bit as we are dropping our speed. Alright, now that I'm in this position, I'm going to arm the speed brake. Auto brake is going to be enabled. We're going to extend the flaps a little more. You can see along the right side here, we are on the glide slope, so we're on the money here. Basically exactly where we need to be to make this approach. Why the fuck can I see stars, but I can't see the runway? Oh, this game is so old, so terrible. Alright, so now if you look in the middle here, you'll actually see this wing thing with the circle. Is actually the ILS beacon. If I put it back there again, you'll see we have the PAPI lights here. And so even though we can't actually see the runway itself, we are able to use that to know exactly where we're headed. I'm going to bring our speed back a little bit here.
Landing checklist.
Landing checklist complete. Extend flaps to full. Continue to bleed speed, and you'll see that the runway is now coming into sight. And the ILS beacon is right on the center line, basically. Actually, it's a little off to the left, but
1,000.
that'll be fine.
Approaching 19 left.
Well, it's chugging for some reason, losing frame rates like crazy. I think it's the water. I did some texture updates recently, I should undo those.
400.
And you see she's basically on the money here.
300. Approaching minimums. Minimums. 200.
And I'm going to be hands off the controls until the wheels are on the ground. At which point all I'm going to do is apply brakes, and I'm going to turn on reverse thrusters.
50.
Huh, it happened again. I don't believe it. The same thing happened again. So, I've unlisted the stream as of now, but I was flying this exact same aircraft, exact similar leg, the other night, and on the approach at the end there, I had the same sort of glitch that I can't explain.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be taxiing for the next few minutes, so please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the captain turns off the fasten seatbelt sign. At that time, please remember to check around your seating area, in the seat pockets, and overhead bins for all personal belongings that you brought on board. Please take care when opening the overhead bins, as the contents may have shifted during flight.
Yeah, so I'm just going to end the video here. That landing is kind of bummed. I'm not sure what's going on with that. That was kind of weird. I'll do another video again in the future where I just show this thing actually coming on a landing and nailing it, not eating shit. So I guess I'll just end that here for the night. You know, keep the shades on.